Hello and good evening, Insta family. How are you doing? Hope your weeks are off to a good start. Here we are again, 6 p.m. on Monday for another installment of our Phoenix Breathwork stories. So we've got the wonderful Tracy Jane joining us tonight. And here, she sent a request. Let's just let her in. We've got Antonia. Hello. Okay. Here we go. And there she is.
Hey,
Hello.
hello, good evening.
How are you, my love?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm well. It's been a
Oh,
while since I've seen you in person. It's so nice to see you like this.
it is. It is. Well, we've never met on Instagram like this, have we?
I know. I know.
No.
I'm
In our
loving doing these lives again. It's
in our
great.
little boxies. I had it all set up so you can see my flowers, and of course now it's just half. See my
I
nice top. I
forgot
put my
that as
nice
well.
top on. You know.
Oh, is that one of your kimonos?
Of course. Yeah.
Oh, you have to tell us all about those as well because I've seen some of your posts, Tracy, and I am just like,
Just try
yeah.
stopping me. I'm going to weave it into the breath work.
Good on you, beautiful. All right. Well,
Hello,
we will get
Antonia.
started.
Antonia's there. Hello, hello,
Yeah, she
darling.
is. We gave her a wave and some love as well. We miss you, Antonia. We're gonna need to get a catch up, all of us together.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, just a quick welcome into everyone who's joining us live and anyone who watches the replay. We've got the wonderful Tracy Jane Sullivan joining us tonight. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to actually hand it straight over to you, Tracy, to introduce yourself and also the concept of these series, as anyone who's seen any of the other ones will know. It's about sharing your journey with breath. So
Yeah,
just about how you found breath work, what breath work has done for you, talking a little bit about your journey, and we'll just have a bit of a chat and see what comes. So
yeah,
on that, Tracy, I'm
absolutely.
going to hand over to you, my love.
Take it away. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Tracy Jane Sullivan, and I am many things, but tonight, I'll be talking about my journey as not just a wellbeing harpist, but as a breathwork coach as well, and how I've come to that and how it's essentially changed my life as it has so many people's.
Yeah.
And I came to breath work. I'm just trying to think, it might have been about, I've lost time now, about 5 years ago.
Mm.
And I'm a singer and a songwriter and have been for many years. And at the time, I was suffering from vocal problems. And I was going through vocal rehab with one of the top vocal rehab guys up in London, Dane Chalfen. He's absolutely amazing. And it
Mm.
was during these sessions that, quite simply, I'd never really taken much notice of my breath. I'd done lots of yoga, done a bit of breath work. I was like, oh, what's really good? I don't really know why I'm doing. Yeah, it's great. Kind of knew about
Yeah.
breathing, but not really.
But being
And
a singer, you have to be, I guess you might have been a bit more conscious about your breathing. Because,
no,
like,
I wasn't. I was a self-taught singer. So I never
amazing.
had proper lessons or anything like
Mm.
that. I just got up and sang. And it was probably years
You're
of that,
amazing.
all competing with electric guitarists and not having monitors back in the old days. And really, I'd done this kind of damage to my voice.
Mm.
And during the sessions, it was, Dane had me lying on the floor and it was, getting me to breathe and breathe into my belly and, just very simple breath. And I remember what was interesting is that he said to me, I need to just let you know that when you just start breathing like this, you might start laughing hysterically or crying hysterically. Now, this was
Mm.
common that singing teachers do. They come across this all the time, but and it's not their job to know about this kind of stuff, but they don't know why. They just knew this
Mm.
can happen. Just got to let you know. And for me, I just started crying, and
Oh.
I was just like, what is this? And the words
Mm.
that he was using around the vocal rehab and the breath was, about connection and
Mm.
support. And I don't know, I remember lying on the floor in that room in London, the kind of music room in London, going, oh my God, there's really something to this breath. It was more than, I say just for the voice, very important for the voice, but there was more. There was something else going on here. People laughing, crying hysterically. What's that about? You know, you're doing just a very simple breath.
Yeah.
And I had some friends that were tantric teachers. You know, I was coming into contact with the breath in so many different, you know, I was starting to just hear about it. People starting to talk about it. And I remember thinking, I wonder if there's such a thing as a breath practitioner. That I had no idea. And I thought, gosh, I bet you could do just breaths for like different things. I suppose it affects everything, doesn't it? You know, sports and I don't know. I was kind of like, you know, tantric stuff. It was just what was going through my head. So I was like, okay, there's some singing. I thought, I bet you could have it for everything. So I started doing a little bit of research, and that's when I come across my first teacher, Dan Brule, and there wasn't a lot about breath work anywhere really. And I decided to go on a course with Dan up in Peterborough. I signed up for a week's course, and I went up there, and it absolutely just blew my mind. You know, this like beyond my expectations. But interestingly, my first experience was actually really quite. I found it quite horrible.
So with your vocal coach? Is that what you
No,
mean?
not that one. When I first went and did the conscious connected breathing
And was
on
that part
Dan's
of the 1
course.
week of the course?
Yes, on Dan's course for the
Ah,
week. So, you know, this is me just because, you know, I love talking to people when they're in their breathwork journey, because I've trained in so many different disciplines now and studied like a complete geek. There's so many different types of breathwork, isn't it? It's like if you say you're a breathwork teacher, it's like saying you're a dance teacher, but people just think you teach line dancing, or, you know, you're like, well, yeah, I actually teach a bit of Brazilian, a bit of samba mixed in. You know,
yeah,
there's so many
absolutely.
different methods. There's so many different reasons why you might be doing it, and you know, it's a big subject. So you know, I kind of looked around various different types of breath work and learnt a lot from them all. But when I first did the conscious connected, I mean, luckily he had prepped us really well, and I was really, you know, prepared to own my journey, you know, because it is your journey. It's your breath's your guru, nobody else. You know, it's that, you know, you are responsible for your journey, and we as facilitators are holding that safe space for people and encouraging, but it's very much supporting that person's journey, isn't it? And sometimes it's really having the courage to step back and allow and, you know, support them as they transform. And he had prepped us really well for that. And I really, just being in my nature, like, you know, enjoying pushing things, I absolutely went for my first session. Like, I breathed like I was going for it. And I remember, though, the aim for me was to this total relaxation, but finding this peace. And even though everything was aching in me. I remember just like everything was hurting. My brain started going, my back hurts, this is exhausting, this is this is horrific. What am I doing here? Why did I sign up to this course? This is awful.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh
But
my gosh, yeah.
also I knew, I was prepared. He prepared us that this is going to happen. Your mind's going to say all sorts of stuff. And then it's up to you to have the discernment in any practice, you know, whether you push through to the other side, you know, when you really go for it and you push through. And sometimes you have to go, today I'm actually just going to be a little bit more gentle. I don't need to push through. I can just really kind of float and melt through and actually gain a lot from that.
Yeah.
But I was like, that was what my personality was more like. Then I am going to push on through, which I did. And it was incredible. And so many sessions, I felt like a completely changed person. and my perspective on things that had happened to me and traumas that had happened to me, I was suddenly able to see them in a different way and process them differently, hold them differently in my system. And I remember after one session, I mean, I've never done ayahuasca, just to say, love to try it at some point. A lot of people there had said, "Oh, it's like doing ayahuasca," and but it's better. Anyway, I'd done one session, gone out into the gardens. I remember going out, you know, to kind of integrate, and I went down the garden, and it was dusk, and I found this tree, and I found this thing in a tree, and I was touching it, and I was like, "Oh, this feels like a powder puff, so soft, and wow, what? Oh, the tree." And do you know what it was? It was actually a wizened apple on a tree. Yeah, but it was like this beautiful powder, you know, everything just, oh, so
So
it
it's
was
like
really
all your
magical.
senses were just heightened. It's like you're really opened up. It is magical, Tracy. It really is. And what I think is amazing, because I always ask people, you know, about their first experience. And aside from obviously with the vocal coach, you then signed up for a course. You didn't just go for one session.
Yeah.
And there's a few other people that have just gone, right, I'm just going to do the whole course. And just, you know, from your first session where you say it was a bit much because you went in for that, what
Yeah,
made you then, how did you feel afterwards? Like, was there any part of you that's like, whoa, what have I signed up for? Or were you like, right, this is where I need to be, or
it
I
was
need to
more
give this a
during
shot?
it, but I love just, um, I loved the chance to look at things in a different way. To
Mm.
when you, I always call, you know, my breath, it's like my best friend. I call it the banister of breath sometimes. It's like when you've got your breath, you're steady. It's like somebody's there holding your hand all the time,
Love that.
in a really simple way. So at any moment, you tune in like you're not alone. There's this deep connect,
Mm.
you know, you're in a post office queue, or something happens, or there's something happening on Zoom, or somebody's, you know, giving you a hard time, and you can suddenly, you know, take that kind of somatic approach, just notice your breath, anchor yourself, that just that, in without doing any conscious breathing or, you know, anything like that, just that simple, be with your
Like that
breath.
breath awareness, that connection to your breath.
Yeah, like whoever's
Mm.
watching this now, just hello breath. Ah, connection. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. And I remember thinking about it. I don't think anybody said this to me, but I remember thinking it's our umbilical cord to the world, to the universe. If you think about it, you know, it right now there is air coming from the universe, coming from this planet into our nose, all the way down into our, that it's constantly there. We never like empty it all out. You know, it's that constant,
Mm.
that's our like invisible umbilical cord,
Yeah,
you
it's our
know.
life force, right?
It's our
Absolutely.
life, it's literally our life force, and we are sharing this, this is our connection with the world around us, and when that stops, we are no more on this planet. I mean, that is pretty profound. You can't get
Mhm.
away from that, you know. And
Exactly.
that's scientific as well, you know,
Yeah.
that is our literal physical connection.
Mm.
So it's
And which is why I find it amazing that so many of us don't pay attention to our breath. Like before I actually did any breath work, I had no idea what my breathing pattern was or how well I was breathing. We just don't.
but we
But
don't
it
pay attention to
comes up.
much though, do we? That's
Oh, it's also
that
true. Yeah.
this is the thing. But you know, breath work, as we know, in the last, I mean, when I started doing breath, I said I can't even remember now, but it's 5 or 6 years ago. Nobody had really, hardly anybody was really, it was very kind of specialist, you know. There was a few people, and you either knew about it or you really didn't.
Yeah,
now
exactly.
now it's getting hugely popular. You know, there's good things that go along with that, and there's bad things. We know what it's like in our industry, but you know, the overall thing is, thank goodness this is reaching people, because it's what people need. It's what, you know, kids need. You know, so many people are suffering from anxiety and disconnection with themselves, because we're so outside, we're on our phones, we're driving, we're talking, we're helping somebody else, we're all out there, we're rushing around, and none of us like literally stop to take a moment and, you know, what is life is full of care, we have no time to stand and stare, you know, was that Wordsworth, you know, time to stand and look at the clouds and stare as long as sheep and cows. We
Love
need
that.
that. We need that for our nervous system. You know, we need that. We're having that kind of focused sight all the time, which stimulates our sympathetic nervous system. We don't kind of take a moment to be aware of what's around us, how our breath is doing, how are we?
Exactly.
You know, we've lost that general awareness. And I think breath work is a really good way to start, because it certainly, for me, has now spread into so many other areas, being much more in partnership with not just my breath, but the whole of my body. You know, I'm so much into, you know, tracking my nervous system and finding out, because I was, it's like when you first start doing breath work, and, you know, people talk about the universe and inhale and exhale, and you're like, I don't know what they're talking about. I'm just breathing in and I'm just breathing out. And I always say to people, it's fine. Don't feel bad. You know, if you're just going, I don't know, or can't even breathe in for 5 seconds, can't do it. It doesn't matter. You're just turning up.
Exactly.
And
That's the biggest step, showing up,
showing
right?
up, just doing
For
it. And you will
yourself.
get, it will deepen. The more you
Yeah,
do,
start
the
where you
more you
are.
drink coffee, the more snobby you get about what type of coffee you drink. 'Cause you're like, oh, I can't have that. It's far too bitter. I like a sweet coffee, and I only like it from Brazil. And, you know, oh, I don't like that wine. Da, 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 da. Oh, you know, when you're younger, you don't notice any of those things. You don't have the experience. You don't have the palate. And so the breath awareness, to me, is actually one of the juiciest sides of breath. Just being with your breath and allowing your breath to do what it does best, because it's supremely intelligent, not getting in the way. You know, as much as conscious breath work is really valuable, the other side of the coin is absolutely allowing that breath to do what it was meant to do, and how it can support you.
You're
So
spot on there, and that's where the work is. It's the allowing, because we have so much control, and we're so used to it. And like you're talking about being overstimulated, where, you know, if we're looking for answers, if we're looking for connection, we're looking for externally, we're looking
yes,
out here
yeah,
for all of those answers for that connection, when actually we need to flip that and come within. And that's where we can find that connection. That's where it starts. It's like
we're
coming
going to
back
see
to
more
self.
of that, aren't we? I
Yeah.
really feel there's there's an
100%.
increase in, you know, somatic education now, somatic work, because we we need that. We need to know that's why so many people, in my humble view, are suffering from depression, anxiety, because it's just everything's out here. And I'm not saying out here is bad. We need to be out here, but we also need to be very aware of our bodies, our, you know, what serve us every day. God bless them, you know. And would you treat, you know, I was thinking the other day, and I was really hungry, and I was like, no, not yet, I've got this, no. I think, would you treat a friend like that? You know, if you were around my house and you're going, oh, Tracy, I'm really hungry now. I go, oh, can you just wait an hour, Jessie? I'm just going to do this. Can you know, I'd be like, no way, of course. Would you like, can I give you a snack, or let's go for dinner now? Or, but the way that we treat ourselves, and we override, is why there's so much burnout. We're overriding
Exactly.
our, you know, how we are, because we don't really know. We have no, am I tired? Am I hungry? Oh God, you know, so I used to think I was really lazy at the times I was actually doing the most. I said, oh, I'm just definitely not doing enough. It's this warped way of thinking. We're not in tune, you know. So it's the value of that awareness and showing ourselves that respect, and expecting that from other people, and valuing that, and going, yeah, nice one. I'm glad you're going to take a little bit of a break, and I'll see you tomorrow, no problem. You know, we need
How
to
would you
change the
say?
culture.
Yeah, would you say that that's how breathwork has supported you? How has it really supported you?
It's supported me. It's changed. You know, I used to suffer from depression and anxiety, and it's really grounded me and helped me with my creativity and my relationship with myself and my connection to this planet, you know. And it's affected everything, you know, like even your exercising, you know. I trained as an oxygen advantage coach as well. You know, you start to become aware of it in so many different ways. And again, just that awareness is connection, and we need to be connected to feel, you know, good in ourselves. I'm not saying we're all going to feel great every day. We're always going to have stresses and challenges. That's how life is. But
Yeah.
I think breath work, it gives you, it's like a sail that you kind of can put, it helps you sail into those seas with grace when you need to, you know, that courage to face the big waves, because you'll then get to the magical island. Whereas if you just stand on the beach and look at the waves, go, oh no, I can't go, I'm just going to sit on this beach, have another pina colada, which might be nice for 10, 20 years. But if you really want to take a chance on life and make a change and have courage, you got to take your breath, and you're going to sail that. And then you might be halfway to the magical island, then it'll be calm floating times, and then you got to go again. But having your connection to your breath and knowing when to do conscious breath work, when to just be aware and allow, can really help you navigate life. I always turn to my breath. It's just I change my practices, my self practices a lot. Sometimes I don't even have a set practice, but I'm always connected. I just do it automatically now without thinking, you know.
So you mentioned Oxygen Advantage that you trained in, and you did
Yeah.
a week with Dan Brulé. So just tell us a little bit about the training, and was there a specific point when you were like, this is what I need to do. I need to train in this. I need to share this technique, or I need to share this with other people.
I'm trying to think. I really enjoyed Dan's course for lots of reasons, but I did Patrick's because, I mean, it was quite funny because a lot of people doing Patrick's course tended, it may have changed now, but to be personal trainers and, you know, that kind of, and I was like a harpist.
I love that. Yeah, we want to hear about that too.
Yeah, so, but I deliberately did that because I wanted to understand, you know, the kind of chemistry, the biochemistry surrounding the breath. There's so many different aspects to it, you know, the kind of spiritual side, the behavioral side, you know. And but what happens in I needed to understand that because there's a lot of myths around that. I felt it was important because that's my geeky brain. I was like, well, I want to know what's going on. Why am I getting tetany, or, you know, what's happening here? It's a powerful, it has a powerful effect on your body. You know, we know as breath workers, we have to be very safe when we're doing that type of, you know, ventilation with people. We have to be, you know, super aware and, you know, make them aware of any, you know, possible side effects as well. So, because it's powerful. We're talking, you know, some breath work, you know, it's going to change the pH of your blood and so many other systems. So you've got to be very aware of that. And I wanted to really understand, and Patrick's course was definitely so valuable doing that. And he's just, you know, an absolute darling of a person, you know, just such a great teacher. But when I first went on his course, I was literally like, what are they talking about? This is like university or something. Like, oh my God, am I ever going to get my head around all this kind of chemistry and everything? And I totally did. And I really enjoyed it. And from then, I teach my own kind of stuff because you've got to be you, haven't you? You know, you try out lots of different types of breath work. It's like trying out different dance styles, and then you have to resonate with who you are and what you want to share with people. And with me, I work a lot with people with anxiety and depression. And I guess my background's been in that. So I have, you know, a lot of understand. That's what really interests me because it's so effective.
Yeah,
It's
really.
really so effective for that. And I actually just got a text last night from a young woman client with, you know, massive social anxiety. And I simply did some coherent breathing with her, but was talking about not just it as a practice, but how do you bring it into your everyday life? How does that work? It's not always about going lighting a candle and doing your 5 minutes. We can't always do that. We're out and about. Or what happens if she's out in a pub, with her friends, and she's starting, she's feeling that kind of dorsal vagal shutdown, and she just wants to go home. How could she use her breath at that time with a little bit of somatic work as well? So I find all these things that have helped me, all these different tools with the breath, singing. People enjoy it. Humming, which is like super effective and really
powerful. Yeah.
And so, humming has just, when I felt absolutely hideous, I'll go out for a walk with the dog, and I'll go into the woods and I do humming. And then you're just like, it shifts you, doesn't it? On so many levels. So I love the longer, I'll talk about this in a moment, with the harp, conscious connected, the really special sessions that we do. But I like to mix it up with how can you do things in your daily life? How can you use different things to help you sleep, and how's that really going to work for people? Because it's the commitment. I think most of us feel quite overwhelmed. There's a lot every day. There's things vying for your attention, isn't there? Whether it's Instagram or friends, family, just stuff, emails, and we're like, so much choice. I'm so overwhelmed. So most people come to you because they are overwhelmed. So you don't want to overwhelm them then, going, okay, you've got to do hours of this every day. They're not going to do it.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it. So what is the kind of minimum they can do? How can they fit it in with their lifestyle, in a playful way?
Because you want to be able to have access, because your breath is a tool you've got access to all the time. You literally carry it with you, right?
I know. It's like, it's so light, isn't it? It takes up no room in your handbag.
I love it, exactly. So it's like, okay, so how do I use it in the most effective way for me in this moment? And the beauty about it is it's really like a muscle. The more you use it, just like you said, just start where you are. The more you use it, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
Start to build that relationship with your breath.
Give it a go.
Get started.
And I think building that awareness as well. I like to, with clients, always kind of get people to note where they are before they do anything, because we're looking, sometimes the power is actually in the subtlety. And I think we live a lot of the time looking for, we want big changes and things to really stand. We're looking, because we're so so desensitized that we have to have like big events to notice anything. That lack of awareness. So building awareness, and even like before you do, say, a physiological sigh of relief or something, just going, right, how is my system feeling? And even if you go, I have no idea, the fact that you've just tuned in, that's okay. Do your physiological sigh of relief. Notice, how am I 1% moving in a direction that makes me feel better? Fantastic. That's all we're looking for, and so having those, little tools and tips and tricks. And then obviously the sessions, like you do with the transformational breath work, having those kind of sessions is really intense, grounding, releasing, cleansing, I think is really complementary with everyday breath work. It's a bit like, it's one thing eating well when you go on holiday, but if you come back, you're just going to be eating rubbish every day. It's like, well, you feel good for a little while, but you got to keep it up.
The maintenance of it, exactly.
It's the maintenance, is important. Yeah. But it's also okay. None of us are perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. I don't claim to be it. I always say to my clients, I get into phases of doing stuff, and then I feel like any human being. Sometimes I go, I feel so good from it. I go, I don't need to do that. That'll be fine. And before I know it, I'm like, oh no, because we
are human.
We're human, and it's okay to not do it, and just get back to it. Just stop overthinking that. Just go back to it. It's okay if you haven't done it for a few weeks, months, a year. Just come back to the breath, isn't it?
So how do you work people in? So you said you work a lot with people who have anxiety and depression. So do you work with people one to one? Do you do more group work? Because I did see as well you did a conscious creative breath workshop, wasn't it? Was that right? And I love that because Tracy, honestly, the
Yes,
creativity
yes, that's right.
oozes from you with your singing and your music and your kimonos. So tell me about that. I want to hear how more about that workshop.
Yeah, so that was actually just at the end of last year. And that, yeah, I was like conscious. I was like, rather than saying conscious connect, it's conscious creative, because it's about, breathing into that creativity. Because at the time I was like, you kind of feel moods, don't you? We're all connected. So you feel moods of what was going on. And at the time I was like, I really felt like people were in need of, that people feeling quite stagnant. And it was that kind of end of the end. I think people, and before Christmas, I think people had lost that connection to themselves and needed a spark of inspiration. And being creative doesn't, you don't have to be, ooh, I'm a singer or I draw pictures. We're all creative. The way you make your bed in the morning, or how you decorate your house, or lay things out in your kitchen. I know so many creative people that wouldn't consider themselves artists. They're creative. We're all creative. We're creating because we're living. So I was like, let's get that creativity back. And so the session was brilliant. I really put a lot of my heart and soul into it. And, I kind of gathered everybody and had, just chatted them through what was going to happen. And I like to ground people with, coherent breathing, because people are coming into the session from all sorts of places and, emotionally and physically. And so for me to actually move people towards a feeling of safety,
Yeah,
to
100%.
start
Because
with,
that's key.
just
Feeling safe.
before
Yeah.
they go on the journey, is like tap
Mm.
them into themselves. So, I would do some coherent breathing, and I'd use the harp as well.
Oh,
So, which is
amazing. I
love,
have to, yeah, come to one of your sessions with the harp for sure.
it's so beautiful. And of course, the harp has its own healing
Mm.
properties and the sound of that. So, and I just recently got a little harp that I can strap to me and walk around. So this is fantastic. I'll tell you about the end of the class. So I would get everybody grounded and super, just super chilled, do some coherent breathing. And then the session started, and it was basically working through like your chakras and working through, I always like the story of the, of kind of creativity from being like a tiny, if you wanted to make peach pie from scratch, and this isn't my own idea. This comes from Holly. I've forgotten her name today, but she did a book called The Creative Formula. I'm friends with her on Instagram. I've just forgotten her name because I've got brain fog at the moment, but I'll come back to that. So she did a book called The Creative Formula, and she talks about creativity. And if you're going to make peach pie from absolute scratch, you would have to get the seed, you'd have to plant the seed and, put the right conditions, plant it far away and, from plants to give it enough room to grow. You'd have to give it the right nutrients and water, and the different stages of the tree growing and the fruit ripening. And you don't pick the fruit, when it's not ripe, because you wouldn't want unripe peach pie, so you've got to let those ideas become abundant and ripen, and then finally pick those and put the spices with it and cook the peach pie. With creativity, people, I'll say, just as a musician, people was like, oh, where's the album, or where's the gig, they want the peach pie all the time. But creativity is sometimes just being a little seed. See my seed impression? A little
Great
a little
feeling there.
seed that can't even plant itself, that has no idea that it can be this amazing peach tree with like animals living in it and then making peach, but it's got no concept of that. But it has that divine knowledge and potential and charge within it. And sometimes you're a little seed and you're just like that in the darkness, and you're like, oh, is it always going to be like this? you know. I mean, it's that cultivating that trust, and then being okay with the journey, because that's the part of that is being creative. I think there was a famous story. I think it was Monet. I actually can't find it anywhere, but I was told at one point, I think there was a neighbour looking over the fence, and Monet was like sleeping in a, you know, chair in his garden. They were like, "Oh, are you sleeping?" He's like, "No, I'm working," you know. And then kind of like, you know, then, "Oh, you're working," when he's doing his painting. "No, I'm relaxing." And it's sometimes that creativity, or, you know, in life, the important part is sometimes not just the doing of it, but like the having a bath, the prepping of yourself, the reading the book, you know, reading a really fabulous book that then maybe makes you want to write a song, or, you know, try a poem, or whatever kind of creativity you're doing. It's not always the obvious stuff, and Holly talks about this in her book. So I like to take this idea, and basically me and a friend of mine, well, she mostly actually put together this beautiful playlist of the seven chakras. So we breathe through the chakras. So each track was relative to each chakra, but it was also relative to each stage of, you know, being the little seed, and then poking up out the ground, and then kind of the tree becoming stronger. And so it was like a storytelling session. So I was getting people, you know, encouraging their breath, you know, before we started, different types of breath, and how they should be connected in their own journey, that I'm there to hold this space for them, you know, and help to guide, but, you know, they can move through the journey using a breath in different ways. And so it was really beautiful, you know, and encouraging people to breathe different colors and to check whatever there was a lot of potential, and I said, you know, you just go with what you resonate with. So the music would move, you would have the storytelling, and it, you know, culminate in this just majestic peach tree, you know, with peaches ripe for the plucking. And you know, seeing people, witnessing this journey with people, and then when they came out the other end, obviously having their integration time, and then I would walk around with the harp and just, you know, hover over their bodies, playing
incredible,
the harp. And I think they were quite surprised, because I don't think most people have not heard live harp, never mind had one hovering over their body.
Wow.
And people were just like, wow, that was
And you
powerful.
can imagine, like, if you haven't done a breathwork session, at the end of the session, like if you've gone deep, if you're connecting your breath, or whatever experience you've had, you can be quite activated, you can be quite open. So then to receive something so beautiful into your space can really help you, like, go to the next level, or just deepen that relaxation for you. Beautiful, Tracy.
So,
and I just love the whole concept and the journey with the creativity, because I agree with you. Like, everything we do is creative. It's almost like there's a creative thread throughout our life that we're continually growing, right?
Absolutely.
100% agree.
And again, the breath helps you do that. You know, and I sometimes hear people say they feel more creative when they're much more in that kind of their social nervous system, you know, in that kind of parasympathetic, or that kind of connection. I mean, not everybody. Some people, you know, find that they're creative in different kind of certain aspects of stress, or in between time. Everybody's different, but again, you can use your breath to attain different states, and finding what inspires you to kind of be courageous in your life, or be creative. But I love you know, combining things that I love with breath work, you know, or just things I love with everything. You know, I was a wellbeing harpist for years, so I would just say, I think you need harp with yoga. So I was a yoga harpist for many years, playing live in yoga classes all over the world. And then, you know, I'd be like, oh, you need, you know, that supper club, you need harp with that, or, oh, it's an art exhibition. Well, I'll come along with the harp, and I'll make up a tune for the paintings, and then maybe even a story as well, you know, in response to the paintings. So, you know, maybe we can do some breath work before we view the paint. That's kind of what I would be doing now. Let's all do some breath work before we even view the paintings and hear the music. Let's get into this zone. I
So
really, yeah, sorry, go on.
no, go.
So it's this collaboration of, you know, I'm a musician, I'm in a band, so bringing music in, breath work, harp, kimonos, you know.
Yes, it's like bringing all of your areas of expertise and every aspect of you to your work, because I think that
Yes,
that's what makes it so unique to you, because
yeah,
not only is our own breathing pattern completely unique to each of us, but
yep,
also how we deliver and share the breath. So, you know, this is why, like, hearing your experience of the breath, your journey with the breath, your experience is going to be different to anyone else.
yep,
Every time we breathe, we have a different
mm,
experience. So that's why it's so beautiful to hear how you work with people, because I'm sure there's people that are going to watch this and are going to feel like, I need to work with Tracy. Like, I'm feeling her energy, like your experience, and they want to work with you. So, you know, are you running workshops at the moment?
So
Where are you
I'm not
based?
running a lot of workshops at the moment. I do one-to-ones.
Yeah, one
I
to
was
one.
doing, you know, I was doing a lot of workshops last year, and we go, you know, we all move in and out of phases. Like, I don't want to do workshops at the minute. I'm just like, I'm not feeling workshops. I'm feeling one-to-one. You know, I've now become very interested in vintage Japanese kimonos, and I found, so I'm bringing breath work into that because I found this mindfulness of wearing vintage silk, and it's not gimmicky. It's a genuine thing that it helped me through a time of grief. And, you know, wrapping yourself in vintage silk. You know, at New Year, I had a friend round, and we wrapped ourselves in these beautiful vintage silk kimonos in my kimono lounge. And we did some breath work and a meditation to see in the new year, you know, wrapped in this vintage silk, because you feel so amazing, and the feeling of it, and like this beauty and magic, and then you're connecting with your breath. And so it's, you know, Kimono O'clock, you know, have a bath, put your vintage silk kimono on, get the green tea out, get your journal out, do a little bit of breath work, you know, have a bit of like pleasure time, you know, even if it's just once a week, time for you.
Kimono O'clock. I love that.
Kimono O'clock's my new hashtag. It's only me using it. It's fine. But, you know, so I'm hoping to do in the summertime more workshops around, you know, for people, women to, and men to try on kimonos, and actually, you know, probably some beautiful places out in the woods. There's a beautiful enchanted spa out there. I'm hoping to do some workshops out there, and, you know, to be able to have a
Wow.
sauna and a jacuzzi and a walk around the woods, and a chance to try kimonos on and do a bit of breathwork meditation with the heart. To me, it's combining it, not for gimmick, but combining it because that's what we do in life. We put together our favorite things to make that, for me, that's the ultimate experience. You know, if I'm with people doing breathwork and meditation with the harp, with beautiful, magical vintage clothing in this gorgeous outdoors location, I mean, wow, you know, and that's the creativity of creating that. It's a well-being experience, you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. I mean, listening to you describe
multi-dimensional.
that sounds
Mm.
incredible. And I remember when you first started telling me about the kimonos, and I just listened to you and I was like, I've never thought of it like that. That sounds absolutely delicious. I'm like, I need a kimono in my life, because it's like you said, it's, you know, taking that time to really notice it, receive that pleasure, take care of yourself. It's like that self-care element that
It
we lack
is,
so much.
and it makes you do it when you've got a kimono on. One client came to me and she said, "Oh, I can't really brush your teeth and come out." I said, "You know, I'm meant to be brushing your teeth." I said, "Get your old skanky dressing gown on to brush your teeth." And this is for being fabulous, you know,
For
especially the
being
ones with the
fabulous.
long sleeves. I don't want you running around the house like, you know, doing the windows and brushing your teeth and stuff. And this is for like self-care, kimono o'clock, kimono therapy. Do your breath
Love
work, you
that.
know,
I
sit there
love
in
that.
meditation, like with you know, it's a very different experience, you know. And of course, it's just about being creative, trying different things, um, you know, as you know, when we breathe, if you have a different intention, you know, intentions, when we put intentions in how we breathe, that's really powerful. Just as where we are, or who we're with, or who's holding space with us, or if we're wearing a kimono, or, you know, a horrible old dressing, it's all going to be affecting our experience. And why not, you know, just get jiggy with life and do breath work in a kimono, you know? It's
Oh, I
like,
love it, Tracy. That's amazing. I can't
yeah.
wait to
So
see when you
this
plan all of this.
so
Yeah.
this will so it was quite interesting. So me standing back from kind of putting on lots of events and
Mm.
just concentrating on the one-to-one work, which I really love. I really love the classes as well, but it was quite good to stand back and let the kimono thing come in, and that's been, you know, developing, and I starting to get the ideas of like, oh, okay, this is how it's going to work, with breath work and the
Beautiful.
harp, and just putting all my joys together. So yeah, watch
Beautiful.
this space, summertime. There'll be some gorgeous, gorgeous,
What
creative, conscious,
way?
creative breath work and
Oh,
kimonos.
amazing, amazing. And in the meantime, we're working with people online. How can they reach you? Do you work
They,
online
I
or,
do
sorry,
work
one to one?
online. I do work
Or,
online. Yeah, yeah, I work online, and that's really, really effective. You know, it's, you know, one of the good things is opened up that world. I love working in person, but you know, that's not always possible, and you've got clients and the other side of the world, or even like 40 miles away, and there may not be
yeah,
the kind of physical space to, you know, to travel.
travel.
So online is fantastic, or in person one-to-one sessions at the moment.
Yeah. And what's the
Yeah,
best way to reach you?
yeah, best way to reach me here on Instagram or through my website, Tracy Jane Sullivan harp.com, and there's a contact form on there. So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And like, I'm so excited for all of this. I love hearing about, you know, your singing, the harp, the kimonos, everything, and how it's all coming together for you. What would you say to anyone that's watching and is curious about breath work? And they're like, oh, should I try it? Should I not? You know, what would you say to someone who's still considering it? Any advice?
Just try it. You're doing it anyway. So just get
You're
jiggy
doing
with your
it
breath. You're
anyway.
doing it
Yeah.
anyway. Get jiggy with your breath. Just connect. It's like, isn't it? It's like going for a walk and then going, so I wonder if I should go for a walk or not. It's like you're actually out on a walk, but if you take the time to now look around you and check where you are when you're walking, you're going to deepen your experience. You know, that's what I mean. People are just, it's all it is. You're doing it already. Just bring in the awareness of what you're doing and start to build a partnership with your
Yeah.
breath. And it really is, it might sound odd, and I totally understand that. I remember at the beginning, I was like, I don't really get this. It's fine. If
Mm.
you're curious, that means there's something calling you to try it. Just try it. It's free. There's plenty, you know, you could, you know, this, what I would say to people is like, look, there's always free resources. There's a lot of stuff on the internet that not all of it's good, of course. There's a lot of free resources from a lot of professionals. We've also got Breath Hub as well, you know, which is amazing and flourishing in that community, and the app, some brilliant sessions on there as well. But you know, so there's a lot of resources, and really, you know, either free or, you know, you don't have to pay very much to do it. But breathwork, it's a science, but it's also an art, isn't it? And I think that's where working one to one, if you're able to, with, you know, somebody like yourself, Jesse, or myself, you know, it's all about resonating with that person, how they teach and who they are. A person can say one thing, another person can say another, and you're going to take it a different way. But I would say it's like when I'm with somebody, you know, it's the subtleties of when you're watching somebody, but you know just where to help them. You could just be a small thing, and that will open up. You know, whereas when you're on your own and you're just doing it on your own, you don't have anybody to help you put the grace into step. You could learn a bit of dancing, but you really need somebody to go, well, hang on, just move your hip a little bit, like, oh, and you're, oh yeah, yeah, that's the art. And that's where coaching, breath coaching, will help you deepen your, you know, you really get into it. there's plenty of resources out there, and you can watch your Instagram and mine and so many other people and Breath Hub, and just get started, I
Just
would
get
say.
started. Absolutely. I love your way with words and the way you describe it all. It is exactly like that. Just start where you are, Tracy. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you. Great to see
Oh,
you.
you too. You too. I've loved this so much. Hearing,
Yeah, it's
I don't, I'm
been
not. I was
fun.
just thinking when you were coming on, I was like, have we spoken about it in detail about your journey? So it's so nice to
Yeah,
hear from you. You know
yeah.
how you started and where the breathwork's taken you and what you're doing now. So, I'm really
Mm.
excited for what's still to come and the kimono
Exactly. Yeah,
to
come on, spring,
share.
summer. It's going to be interesting.
Beautiful. Well,
Uh,
I'm so grateful for your time this evening. I'm going to share your details in the post here. If anyone's
Fantastic.
watching on replay, still reach out to Tracy directly, give her a follow, write any questions you've got in the comments, and we'll get back to you. But
Yeah.
thank you so much, my love. And I can't wait to see you in person. I can see Antonia's still online. She's sending us hearts.
Yeah.
We'll get a get together in the diary soon. But
Yeah.
sending you so much love and enjoy
Yeah.
the rest of your evening.
Will
Thank
do.
you.
Lots of love. Bye,
Lots of
everyone.
love. Bye.